Hey guys, in this lecture I'm going to show you how to set up your development environment so that you can follow along in these courses. First, let's talk about operating systems. The three big ones are Windows, Linux, and Mac. Most, but not all of my courses are part of the deep learning series. Eventually, the deep learning models we're going to build will become so complex that we will need specialized libraries like Theano and TensorFlow to implement them. Now, as of today, Theano and TensorFlow are not officially supported on Windows. So if you are interested in deep learning, you will discover pretty soon that there is not much you can do without a ton of work. Even working with non-GPU enabled libraries like Numpy and Matplotlib can be a challenge, but these are at least possible on Windows. If you really must use Windows and have your Python environment inside Windows, and you don't want to try the virtual machine method, which I'm going to discuss next, then one good library I know of is called Anaconda. You can get Anaconda at continuum.io/downloads. I can't vouch for this 100% because I haven't used it myself, but I've known others who have found it at least usable. Now I'm telling you this from experience. I've worked with a ton of clients one-on-one, and Python development, especially when it involves the Numpy Scipy stack, is not easy when it's on Windows. The method I'm going to describe using virtual machines will work on most modern computers, and as of right now, if you want to do any deep learning stuff, whether that be with Theano or TensorFlow, you cannot do this on Windows. With that out of the way, I'm going to quickly go over which courses I've released so far or plan to release in the near future that do not require Theano and TensorFlow, so it's possible to do on Windows. With these in mind, you can decide if you want to install a virtual machine or not, but I would highly recommend it because it's free and everyone can follow the same instructions. So we've got linear regression in Python, logistic regression in Python, which are the prerequisites to deep learning part 1. Then we have deep learning in Python part 1, which is mostly in Numpy and a little bit of TensorFlow. We've got easy natural language processing in Python, data analytics, SQL for noobs, beginners, and marketers, cluster analysis and unsupervised machine learning in Python, and unsupervised machine learning, hidden Markov models in Python. This course is going to have a little bit of Theano in it. Next, here are some courses that depend heavily upon Theano or TensorFlow or both. We've got practical deep learning in Theano and TensorFlow, convolutional neural networks in Python, unsupervised deep learning in Python, and recurrent neural networks in Python. As you can see, a lot of interesting and complex stuff can be done in Theano and TensorFlow. Alright, so hopefully I've convinced you that using a virtual machine is a good idea. Windows is a great operating system, but it tends to not be as developer friendly since it tries to be more consumer friendly. Note that if you're on a Mac, this probably isn't necessary. You can just install Numpy, Scipy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Theano, and TensorFlow using easy installer pip. Sometimes this stuff can fail depending on the many combinations of versions of each thing that are possible, but usually just Googling your error message will lead you to the right solution on Stack Overflow. If you're on a Mac, you can just do sudo pip install Numpy, Scipy, IPython, Pandas, Matplotlib, and Theano. Alternatively, you can use easy install, which might have a more recent version. You may need to use easy install to install pip itself, which is just sudo easy install pip. If you want to install TensorFlow, just copy the command at tensorflow.org. It's just a pip install command that points to their custom installation location. I won't put it here since it corresponds to a specific version, and that version may become out of date by the time you watch this. That is good news because the people working on TensorFlow are updating it all the time. Alright, so if you've made it this far, that means you want to install a virtual machine with Linux on Windows, or that you're already using Linux and you want to know what commands to use to install these libraries. We are going to need two things to start for this tutorial: VirtualBox and a lightweight version of Ubuntu. I would recommend Xubuntu or Lubuntu. I'm going to use the 64-bit version of Lubuntu for this tutorial. So download these first and then return to the tutorial. Alright, so now that you've got VirtualBox installed, we're going to create a new machine with 64-bit Ubuntu. So you want to hit New, type in a name for your machine. And this stuff is already correct. I'm going to choose 2 gigs of memory. You can choose more memory if your computer has more memory. I'm going to create a virtual hard disk now. I'm going to choose dynamically allocated, and 8 gigs is good enough for this example. Alright, so I'm going to go to settings. If we go to storage, you can choose the ISO file that you downloaded. So I'm going to load up the Ubuntu ISO that you downloaded from ubuntu.net. Alright, so hit OK and hit start. Okay, so it's going to take you through the installation of Ubuntu. So you want to hit install. Alright, so Ubuntu is going to take you through some prompts. Alright, so you want to erase disk and install Ubuntu, and I'm not going to check any of these. Just hit continue. Alright, so once that's done, it's going to ask you to restart. So just hit restart now. Alright, now that you're in the machine, what I always like to do, if you notice how this window is too big for my Mac window, you can make the inner window resizable by installing guest editions. And this also lets you do useful things like cut and paste between machines. So you want to open a terminal, you go to System Tools, select LX Terminal. Now I'm going to cd into that folder. Cool, so the correct command was sudo /vboxlinuxeditions.run. Notice how there was something that failed in there, so we need to install GCC. So you want to run sudo apt-get update, and then run sudo apt-get upgrade. So the next thing is you want to sudo apt-get install build essential. Alright, once you've done that, we can try to run VBox editions again. So that's sudo /vboxlinux. Alright, so everything worked this time, so we're going to restart this machine. Alright, so now the window is only as big as I want to drag it. Okay, so now we can install the actual data science stuff. So you want to open again LX terminal, do a sudo apt-get update again. Now you want to install, it's a long list, so Python Numpy, Python Scipy, Python Matplotlib, IPython, Python pip, Python dev, and Python setup tools. Just hit yes. Alright, so now that that's installed, you can test it out. You can type in IPython. So IPython is open. Import NumPy. NumPy is working. Import Scipy. Import Pandas. Right, we don't have Pandas yet. We will install that next. Import Matplotlib. Cool, so we have everything we've installed so far. So now we're going to install Pandas and Theano. So that's pip install -- upgrade Pandas Theano. Alright, so now we've got Theano. The last thing we need is TensorFlow. To get this, you guys want to go to the TensorFlow website and just grab the latest command, since they're updating the package all the time. So let's open a browser. Let's search for install TensorFlow. Alright, so you take this code, copy it, you paste it into here. Alright, now you've got Theano and TensorFlow. You can test them out. Go to github.com/lazyprogrammer/machine learning examples. Alright, so you need Git if you want to check out this code with Git. So let's install Git. Alright, so let's run our clone command again. Let's try the HTTPS version. Okay, so this one works. Alright, so use cd into machine learning examples. Go into ANN class 2. So this has some introductory TensorFlow and Theano code. So just run Python Theano1.py, since this does not require any data. Cool, so it seems everything is working. Now let's try the TensorFlow example. So it's TensorFlow 1. Alright, so you want to make sure you install the correct TensorFlow. you want the CPU only version. Hopefully it just overwrites the other version without any trouble. Cool, so let's try the example again. Super, so now everything is working. Now if you want, there is a text editor that I highly recommend. It's called Sublime Text. So you hit download. You go to Ubuntu 64-bit. You save this. And it will automatically be installed. Alright, so now you have the exact same text editor that I use in my lectures. So you open machine learning examples, and this is all of our code.